And hello everyone, and welcome back to what I think is week 86 of our Minecraft Let's Play series. How are y'all doing? I hope you're all doing very well this fine week, and I'll be honest, it's probably going to be a short one. I'm not too sure at the moment. We'll find out later in the episode, but for right now, I can see this being quite short, but let's not drag it on more than it needs to. Let's just get right into what we're going to be doing. Starting with, you guessed it, the villager hall. Well, this time we're not working on masons. We're actually be working on the fisherman because, well, if you didn't see last time, I attempted to get the masons with 17 villagers and still failed, so I am throwing in the towel for the time being, and we're going to go ahead and start filling up the fishermen. Then we have, how do we get here, where what I want to do now is add portals to places like an ocean monument, the trial chamber, the raid farm, stuff like that to make getting around faster, because time is very important for that advancement. And then possibly a new addition, something like the shulker or the dolphin, something like that maybe, but that's honestly depending on A, how I feel, and B, how much time we have. Then we have the possibility of finally working on the drown farm. The only reason I have been kind of waiting on that is due to the fact that we've got so many materials here. All of the shulker boxes are required for that, so that is why I've not gone ahead and done that. And then finally, the other thing that I was thinking about for this week is working on another nether portal room, possibly the end portal room. We shall see. And then of course we got some etceteras here of possibly the jelly statue and the mining village, but this is just in case I want to go ahead and swap some things out. So yeah, I would go ahead and start off with the villager trading hall, but we need to go ahead and grab the materials that we're going to need to trade with those villagers. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and collect. And those would be a bunch of coal, which I'm just going to go ahead and steal from our smeltery system. Then a bunch of string from our piglin bartering system. And then finally, we're going to go ahead and take all of the tropical fish, cod, and pufferfish from this farm, which we should not have any problem with. Actually, we might have some issue with the cod and the pufferfish. So we'll see. Definitely don't have issue with the tropical fish though. And now we do this how we normally do this, where we go ahead, fix the track, and start sending villagers down. Go ahead and send them through the portal, and repeat for the other 7 villagers. And now that we've actually got our villagers here, we can go ahead and move them to a different location this time, where we need to head them over to this side because our fishermen are supposed to be over here. And there's not even that many spots. I'm pretty sure there's only 11, so an odd number that I have to work with. But first, we actually have to trade with these villagers to make sure that their trades are what we want. Which, this guy has coal and buckets of cod, and this guy has string and buckets of cod, so I need to kind of keep an eye on what trades I get. So we'll still trade with this guy. This should satiate his trades, I believe. And now he wants cod, which I hope I have enough. Now he wants raw salmon, which I can't provide. So we're going to be doing fishing rods, I guess. Alright, can't keep doing that. More cod to the rescue, I suppose. A lot more cod to the rescue. And then the trade I can definitely do, which is the tropical fish. Trade all of these. And he gives us an oak boat. Now, I'm not entirely too sure how I want these trades to work, so give me a moment. So for these trades, actually, now that I've looked into it, I don't want the cooked salmon trade because I don't really need it. So I think if I get cooked salmon, or there's also a possibility of getting cooked cod in the first 2 trades, we are just going to go ahead and throw it out. And that is going to be how I trade these. So goodbye, sir. And now we will go ahead and see what the trades are for the other guys. All right, this guy has a campfire trade, so we will go ahead with that. But we will trade for fish first. And now we're really just going to see what his trades for the boat is. But I really need to go ahead and like farm up raw cod at some point if it's good, if this is going to be the only good trade for this and not the fishing rod, because I don't have any salmon. This guy also has an oak boat. Do they change, or do they have to be a specific like area, you know, because this guy trades coal, I think we'll go ahead and keep him. So eventually then that just means that the trades are going to be coal and string are going to be the main things that we got to worry about. All right, this guy's got string and campfires. And he has an oak boat too. Are these guys just going to have oak boats? Because I don't feel like putting them in different biomes to get them different boats. It's just going to be a waste of my time and a waste of your guys' time. All right, this guy has string and the cooked salmon trade, so he's gone. I did not know that this is a possibility for their trades. I thought it could only be either string or coal and buckets of cod or cooked cod. Alrighty then. But this guy has raw salmon, so he's gone. But if that's the case, then I want to start trying to get the string and coal trades. Alright, string and coal and cooked salmon. Alright, goodbye. Yeah, the last few you'll probably just see them be string and coal trades, and then I'll see if they're the cooked salmon trades or not. Another raw salmon guy and another raw salmon guy. Alright, well, that was bumpy to say the least, but what did we learn? We learned a few things. One, I think that the only thing that these guys can give is an oak boat, at least in this biome. So we'll just be keeping an eye out for oak boats. The other thing is that I need to go ahead and get a bunch of raw cod for these guys because of their trade here. That was the best trade I can grab. And then finally, we've also learned that I do not want the cooked salmon recipe here, so we're always going to be aiming for campfires, which means that the only trades that are going to be really important are the first two trades. And we've also learned that we can go ahead and get there to be coal and string here. So now with all the information, hopefully the next few weeks that we try this will go a bit faster, but of course, as always, the first week is going to be the bumpiest. So I appreciate you guys kind of bearing with me when I do this kind of thing. But that is it for villager trading. We got 2 in today. Hopefully we can get more in the future, but for now we're gonna head back to our base and get started on the next thing for this week. Which what we'll be doing now is getting some nether portals set up for the how do we get here advancement. Because if we look into our book that has like all the list of effects we need, we already have written down like the hard parts of this advancement, which we have the Shrieker done. We have technically the raid done because we'll just use our raid farm that we built last week to go ahead and supplement the hero of the village. So now what I need to do is I need to set up some nether portals so far in 4 locations, and I'll explain why we need nether portals in 4 locations. It's actually quite simple. Essentially, we need one nether portal for where the Shrieker is, right? Because that is where eventually this will take place. We need a portal for the raid farms because that is where we're going to be getting Hero of the Village. We're going to need a portal for the trial chamber so we can get the trial omen, and we're going to need a portal for the ocean monument where we are going to get the mining fatigue from the Elder Guardian, which I just realized is probably why I have asterisks next to each of these. These are probably supposed to symbolize nether portals. However, I need to figure out essentially where I need to place all these nether portals. The 2 that are going to be easy is the raid farm as well as the Shrieker because we already have those in place. I'm not moving them, so they're staying where they are. But the 2 that are going to be hard to figure out is the ocean monument and the trial chamber. But that's enough blabbing for me. Let's go ahead and start building these nether portals, because what we need to do is we need to build them in the overworld, and then we need to build them on the nether roof so we have easy access. So give me a moment. Let's get started. So this first nether portal that we're going to be building at the raid farm, I feel should probably go away from the farm just so that we don't have anything spawning here when we are trying to get this. So I'm just going to go ahead and build something simple. I just got Hero of the Village again for some reason. All right, and we light this portal, but we don't go into it because now we got to link it up, which we just need to go ahead and build a portal in the nether and make sure that it links up, which it thankfully does. And I forgot to put glass on here, so let me do that really quick. And now we just do that for the other 3 portals. And I should also mention that while I'm doing this, I'm going to be writing down the coordinates of each of these portals because we're going to need to go ahead and actually route this correctly so that I waste little to no time, because we've only got 40 minutes to do that, and while that seems like a lot, it probably isn't. Then in our Shrieker contraption, I'm just going to put the portal here. Again, not stepping into it. Our responding portal should go here. Alright, good. This one kind of worried me because it's like right next to, I believe, the mining hole. And now for the hard part, trying to figure figure out the sea monument and the trial chambers, which I'll be honest, this one is probably our best bet. I'm glad I actually wrote these down. I kind of forgot I did. However, I'm going to go ahead and grab some dirt for this one. So probably going to try and build it a platform right above the ocean monument, I think is our best bet. Because we just need to get the effect and then leave. Alright, here it is. Why did I not get a mining fatigue thing that whole entire time? That's what confuses me. There we go. Yes, now what we can do is put it here. And then light this portal and leave, I suppose. Also forgetting that I don't have, you know, my elytra on, which is kind of necessary to fly away. Don't worry, I brought milk as well. I'm not that stupid. I am a little bit stupid, though, because I forgot to write down the coordinates. Right, check if the portal is good, which it is. Get in before I get the mine fatigue, please. Thank you. And now we only have the trial chamber left to worry about. So I'm not entirely sure which one's actually the closest. I have ideas, but we'll see. This one might require me to actually go exploring a little bit. The other thing is I don't actually remember exactly where I put the maps, so I think they might be in here. Cool. All right. Oh, these are all unexplored. Maybe not. If I remember correctly, this was the closest, but I also may be very mistaken, so we'll try it, but we'll see what the numbers come out to, essentially, is what I'm getting at. This might be the farthest structure because of how my world is, so if anything, this will probably be the little issue we have, because if I remember correctly, this trial chamber was actually like in our already visited area that I had given us, but I just never went here because I kept flying around it. Yep, alright, so somewhere around here was where I dug down. There we go, I see the hole. And I'm actually gonna go ahead and make the portal probably, I'd say about here is fine, because I'd rather just be able to run in, run out after triggering one of the things down there. So as per usual, light this, take a mental note of the coordinates, and now we go ahead and leave. And build the corresponding portal, hop through it, and make sure that it takes us back to the trial chamber, which it thankfully does. Alright, cool. So the thing with this one, though, is the fact that it is currently like 400 blocks away from the other portals. However, this doesn't really worry me that much due to the fact that with the trial chambers, I can go ahead and before we start any of this, because the raid is the one that's gonna be taking up like the main priority, I can drink a level 5 potion to get the trial element up to, I believe, 1 hour and 15 minutes, and then go ahead and start the raid and start from there. So we're gonna be doing things a little bit out of order, but theoretically all of this should work, because yeah, then we're gonna have to go ahead and fly all the way over here, I believe, and it is gonna take like a second to actually get over here. Yeah, because here's where our portals are. This one, I believe, is our monument portal, which honestly I should probably put down some blocks just to track that, but maybe not, I'm not too sure. But yeah, then after that we'll have to go head to the raid farm, head to the monument, then head to the contraption, I believe. So now, the main things that we need to do with the contraption is get the villager, the dolphin, and the shulker in there, and then it's go time, I believe. But that's going to be an issue for another time, because that took longer than I expected this to link up those portals. So now, let's go back through this portal, and I'll meet you guys to talk about what we're going to do next. And what we're going to do next is actually quite simplistic. It only requires these materials that are in these two shulker boxes. Now, you might not be able to tell what this is for, but I want to go ahead and get started on the nether portal room for the end portal. And I wanted to do one of two things. I was either going to do like the actual stronghold, or I was going to do the end island. And as you can probably tell, I went ahead and decided on the end island because I just thought it would look nicer than a bunch of gray. So with these two shulker boxes behind me, let's go ahead and take them, and I will meet you guys over where our nether portal is. So obviously with this nether portal, there's actually two things I want to do to start off with. First off, obviously we're going to have to build a floor and raise this up, but I also want to go ahead and turn this to be 90 degrees, essentially facing the portal this way, because I believe when we eventually get around to building tunnels, I'm going to have a tunnel going through here, and I just want the portal to actually be like facing the direction that the tunnel will be leading into it. So yeah, I'm going to raise this up by one. one, widen it to 3 blocks, and then also build the floor, and we'll go from there. Alright, and there we go. There is the floor. You might be able to kind of tell what design I'm going for. It's obviously the end island, but the end island is missing its signature pillars, which I'm going to go ahead and build. There we go, just like that. And I put bones up here to kind of resemble the little bedrock things that the crystals are supposed to be on, and I didn't add crystals because I don't want this having any chance of blowing up. But there is one more thing I want to add to this build before we start putting on the walls, and that addition is Jean herself. Now, obviously, this is a very, very weird recreation of Jean, but I had to work with the very small size constraints that I have here, or that I have at least put onto myself, and, well, shrinking Jean down to this size, you lose a lot of detail, and she kind of starts looking like a dog instead of a dragon, but that was the best I can get. You guys have any suggestions on how to make her a little bit better? I'm willing to hear them, but for now, this is how she's gonna look. And now we can get started on the walls, and you can probably tell that the wall takes heavy inspiration from the end cities out of the end gateways. I just thought it'd be more fitting than, well, a completely black concrete wall for the void, and also a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. And now for the roof, which is going to be made out of purple slabs and 4 pearlescent frostlights. And this is to help with stopping spawns, which here it is made. Now, yeah, it's kind of bland, but we're not going to probably be looking up that much, and I know that pearlescent frostlights you don't find in the end cities, but it just fit with the lighting. I also went ahead and placed down a carpet here and here just to stop gas from spawning, because this is a perfect 5x5 area. And now we're gonna go ahead and light this portal and make sure that it actually still takes us to the end portal, because that is a very important piece of this, which thankfully it does. Alright, cool. So we now have one of our nether portal rooms hooked up to our end portal. So that is another one off the list. I think it turned out alright. It's kind of hard to make something about the end because it's really just a barren landscape if you think about it, but I don't know. We needed an end portal. I didn't want to do one of the stronghold, so this is why I landed on. So hopefully you guys like it. I think it turned out alright, but nonetheless, let's go ahead, head back to our base, and we'll go ahead and get started on the last thing on our list for this week. And that last thing on our list for this week is the drown farm, or so we thought. So the thing with the drown farm is it's quite big, and I just don't think I have the time for it to build that big of a farm. Also, I kind of burnt myself out of building farms when I did the raid farm last week, so I apologize if anyone's been interested in this. It's not really a necessary farm, it's just a farm I wanted to build, and it's not really that worth it in my opinion right now, so it's still going to take a little bit of a hiatus. And instead, I actually want to do some work around the Jelly statue again, get some more progress on it. And that is where we are, because currently, I forgot what the last thing I actually worked on around here was. I think it was just these bushes that were around these platforms, but I worked on this a lot. We got the middle and the, pathways done and the little pagoda things here, and then I just stopped working on it, but I miss working on this area, so that's what we're doing. And what we're probably going to be doing for this week is I want to actually close off this walkway a bit more. For now, I'm just going to be working on the cardinal pathways, I guess you'd call them, because they're the ones that just go north, east, south, and west from the statue. But I also want to go ahead and add in a centerpiece into each of these 8 sections, and they'll all be the same, but yeah, that's kind of my plan for this week, because in all honesty, I kind of ran out of time. But nonetheless, here's the ingredients we're going to be working with, starting with all of this dark oak items. So we're just going to go ahead and place down the dark oak like so. We're going to go ahead and place some slabs on each of those logs as well. And then to finish all up, we just go ahead and place the fences between the logs. And just like that, we now have a more sectioned off pathway for this walkway. I don't know why, I really just liked the contrast between the dark oak and the mangrove. I think it works out pretty well, and I also didn't even realize that in the past I counted these out correctly to the point where this is just 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, and 5 fences. Of course, it does go a little bit strange here where this just connects to here, but that's fine. But now I need to go ahead and do it for all the paths. And there we go. Now it is put down in all 4 directions that you can barely see, but it is there, I promise. And now we got to work on the thing that I actually want to put in these centers here for the start to actually decorate these areas, because it's very bare bones and I didn't know what to do with them at first. And that idea is I want to go ahead and actually try and build another fountain, one that hopefully looks better than the one that I have placed at our base, but I suppose we shall see. So what we need to do is first dig out our area and then build out our foundation. Begin to build the rim on the outside out of stairs, and while building this realize that you forgot the water, but that's okay for the time being. We'll just go ahead and place down some blocks right here, then build around it with slabs, put a glow light for, well, light, then more stone bricks, more stairs up top, break the one in the center for the time being, and then go down here and place down 2 walls each. Build the fountain up with our new gained water, and just like that we have half of a fountain because it's not turned on. And the reason I have it like that is because the way I'm going to do water is probably through blue and light blue glass panes. However, I'm probably going to go ahead and wait until next week to do that, just so I can kind of get an idea of how I want to design that. So yeah, it's not great, but we at least have the basis for a fountain. And now we have to go ahead and copy that 7 more times, so I'll meet you guys when I go do that. And there we have it. 8 fountains, all built the same, all mainly centralized in their respective areas, and I think they honestly look pretty nice. I was thinking about possibly adding some like mossy stone bricks around to these things, but it probably would just be best if I did that at a later point, in my opinion, because the thing is with these, I believe I could just go ahead and take a moss block and take the block out and then craft them into the mossy variant, so I didn't really find it that much of an issue if I wanted to do that. But I also kind of like the idea of this not being a rundown monument. I like the idea of it being kept up with, so we might just leave the stone bricks as it is. Yeah, there's the pathways and the fountain. I think they're pretty good additions. They're very small, but they do add a lot of character into this build, which this thing does need. And like I said, with the water, I'm planning on going ahead and instead of adding water blocks, I'll go ahead and do some glass panes, but that is going to be a problem for next week because we are now out of time. But we still did get some stuff done. We went ahead and worked on the villagers, albeit a little clumsily, but we still got some fishermen into there. Then we went ahead and worked on getting some portals built around our world for the how do we get here advancement, which I really do think is going to cut down our time so we don't have to constantly crunch. Then we went ahead and built the end portal, nether portal. Try saying that 5 times fast, and it's probably not that hard, but nonetheless we got it done. And then of course we went ahead and added some details to here, which I think I'm going to try and get more details added to this area over the next hopefully couple of weeks, but we shall see. But yeah, that's going to be it for this week. I thank you all for watching. Take care, have a great week, and I'll see you guys hopefully in the next one. All right, bye bye.